everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you guys a really quick and easy tutorial on how to make this pumpkin hat. We're going to be doing a little pumpkin hat like this one. This one is kind of more of like a child size. It's a little too small for me and I have a small head. The only stitches I used in this particular hat were a half double crochet, and I believe I used a double crochet for these little twisties and then a single up here. But that's really all we used for this hat, and they're really easy stitches. So I'm going to show you guys how I did this hat, and the colors I used for this one were called Pumpkin, and then I think this green one is called Patty Green, and these are both red heart colors. The color I'm going to be showing you guys today is with Carrot, because Carrot is just a slightly more muted orange color, which I'm like, as an adult, because I'm going to make it for myself, I'm more likely to wear this darker orange color. So we're going to get started on that. The hook that I'm using is an H-sized hook. I think it's also 5.5, and it is this new one. I don't know how else to explain it. We're going to be using medium weight yarn, red heart, and yeah, let's get started. Also, just a heads up, by the time we get to the end of this video, this hat is actually going to be shipped off to my friend, so we're not going to have this one for reference, but it's totally okay because I remember what I did, because I've been making a couple other hats very similar to it, just without the pumpkin part at the top. We'll just put beanies, so we could just make like a regular beanie, and I'll show you guys a couple different modifications that you guys could do. I literally just kind of freehanded this, and there's a lot of different crochet businesses out there that probably have a similar pattern, but again, it's very basic, so pretty much anyone could do this. So I'm going to show you guys my method of doing it. So yeah. So friends, we're going to be using this hat as our example. This is an example of one that you can do with two colors, but this is just a little bit easier for me to show you guys what we're going to be doing. So we're going to start off with doing this green ribbing portion, and basically you just make that. It's just basically like one giant rectangle that we will eventually sew and close together, and then work on the bottom. But I'm going to show you guys this method as like a way to like sew in the least amount of ends and change the least amount of colors. So we're going to do that. But we're going to start off with the green. We're going to start off with the height of your hat. So you want to chain however much you want deep your hat to be. For an adult, I'm going with about 40 chain stitches with my H-sized hook. Your tension might be different. If you have looser tension, if you have tighter tension, might be different. So we're going to chain 42, because 40 is going to be the height, and we're going to count for 2 chains to be our turning chain. So I'm going to do that, and I'm actually going to start off with this bright orange color because I'm using the other one for a TikTok tutorial. So do your little slip knot like you normally would, and then go ahead and chain that. From here on out, we are just doing half double crochets. So for the first row, you're going to yarn over, starting in the 3rd chain from the hook. So you're going to count 1, 2, 3, and that 3rd one. You're going to insert your hook into that 3rd, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. You're going to continue that throughout the rest of the row. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 3. And you just continue that all the way down until we get to the end of this row, and then I will show you guys what to do next. So we've gotten to the end of the row, and this is what it should look like. You should just have a whole row of half double crochets. So now that you've finished this row, this first row, what you're going to do is you're going to chain 2. So 1, 2, you're going to flip it, and then you're going to work in the back loop only, and you're going to continue this for every single row, and that's how you get the ribbing pattern. And you're just going to do half double crochets. So like I said, this is super easy. Yarn over, insert your hook into the back loop only, and yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 3, and just continue that pattern. And eventually you will get a ribbing pattern, and it will look really cool, and that's how we're going to get that special look that we have for the pumpkin hat. I'm currently working on a different one right now, and this is what it looks like. You're basically just going to continue this row in this pattern until you get enough length to go around the circumference of your head or whoever's head that you're going to be making this for. I always account to make it a teeny bit bigger. I always go at least like an inch or 2 bigger, because once we do the ribbing might cause this to like like the bottom ribbing, like the rim of the hat. Once we do that, it might cause it to shrink a little bit, which might make it a little bit tighter on your head. So I like to go a little bit bigger just to kind of get a little bit more of a slouchy look, but that's completely up to you. You can modify the hat to be whatever you want it to be, honestly. So yeah, I will see you guys in a bit once we have done more rows of this hat. Okay, so we are working on the second row, and I'm just showing you guys another angle because I wanted you guys to kind of get a little bit more of a close-up of what I am doing with these half double crochets. So like I mentioned, you're going to be working in the back loop only. The back loop is right here because you see these two right here. This is front, this is back. So we're going to go in back loop only. That is very, very important to get this proper ribbing pattern, and I want to make sure you guys get that because you are literally going to do this until you finish the body of the hat. And this is what it looks like after I finish the second row. I'm gonna do a couple more rows and then I'll show you guys what that looks like, just so you guys kind of get a better idea of what you should be doing right now. After a couple of rows, this is what your piece should look like. You should start seeing that ribbing. I did mess up here, so ignore that. But this is what the ribbing should look like, and you're gonna continue that till you have enough to go around the circumference of your head, because remember, this is just the height of your hat. So this is going to be what goes around. So the amount of rows you make will make a difference as to whether or not it's going to fit you or the person you're making it for. The sizing guide that I typically use is actually from Daisy Farm Crafts because I actually follow a lot of their tutorials, and a lot of their stuff is also free. So I will link their website down below along with the chart, but I will also insert their chart here on the screen, and I just want to make this very, very clear. It is not my chart. That is Daisy Farm Crafts. They created this chart. It is a great sizing chart to know what length, what height, whatever you should make your hats for different people. And they do vary depending on what project, but I picked one that's very, very similar to what we're currently doing. So yeah, that's what's currently on the screen. Feel free to pause and use that as your guide. But I'm gonna continue working on this hat, and I will probably see you guys in a little bit. I am a normal human being and I gotta go to work, so it might take some time before I actually finish this, but I will see you guys very, very soon. Okay, so this is where I am at right now. This is my full piece. Just remember, you want this to be, because we are gonna eventually sew this side together, make sure that this right here is big enough to go over your head or whoever's head. And I always make it a little bit bigger because this stretches, and we're about to do the next portion. This looks a little funky because I ran out of yarn, so we had to start, with a new skein, which is why we have this little guy right here. But yeah, luckily I ran to the store and got that. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna work along a different edge of your piece. So you're gonna work along this right here. So we were doing this way. Now you're gonna flip it and do this and work along one edge. Since I am doing all one color for this pumpkin hat, and like I said, if you modify this for other beanies, you could do it differently, but since I am doing everything one color for this beanie, I'm gonna start working on this bottom edge and work on that second like rim, that band. If you are doing two different colors, my recommendation to you is to leave a long tail, sew these pieces together, and then work on the opposite edge with your other color. This way you reduce the amount of times that you are weaving in ends and changing colors and stuff, and makes sewing and attaching these pieces so much easier. So yeah, keep that in mind. So what I'm gonna do, we're gonna switch over now and we're gonna be working on this edge. So I flipped that. These ends, ignore those. Those normally would not be there. Like I said, I just had to switch colors. So what we're going to do is we're going to chain two, because we are basically working on a whole new side, and we're gonna be doing double crochets. That's what we're gonna do for the band. You could do a half double crochet, which is what I did on the original pumpkin hat, but I found that I really like the look of a double crochet instead. So then we're just gonna insert your hook somewhere here into this row and do a double crochet. And you are just gonna continue this all the way down until you have, I think it's an even number, but typically you want an even number of stitches. So we're gonna continue this all the way down, no particular order. Just try to make sure that you have the same number of stitches here as you do with rows. Again, you just kind of eyeball everything and just go with whatever's going to fit you. So I'm gonna crochet that and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have finished this row. I did about 106 stitches. Just make sure it's an even number like I said. At the end of this row, you're gonna chain 2. So then you're gonna flip it like you normally would. I know it looks a little funky, but I checked it, it should still fit. But it's okay, because this whole portion is just gonna be the cuff. So you can make it look however you want it to look. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna continue with our double crochets. You're gonna yarn over, but we're gonna be doing front and back post alternating throughout this row. I'm gonna start with the back post. So you're gonna take this stitch right here. Back post just means you come around behind here and act as if that were where you like, normally would insert your hook. And then you just pull through like that and just do your stitch. So I'm gonna do a front post, you yarn over, insert your hook behind your stitch, and that's front post because that's going towards you. Okay, so you did a back post and a front post, and now you're gonna continue and just keep alternating. So you're gonna do a back post. It takes a little practice to get used to this. I know it's a little weird. And then front post. So you just keep alternating like that. If you mess up, no big deal. There's always a way to fix it. But just make sure that you're alternating. Take your time. It's a lot easier. You're just inserting it into the space between your stitches, and you're just either going behind or you're going in front of. So yeah, just continue that all the way down. And at the end of the row, I will show you guys what to do next. This is what it should look like at the end of your second row. You can tell the difference. You can really see that defined front and back post, which is exactly what we want for the ribbing. So at the end of this row, what you're going to do is you're going to yarn over. You should still have a stitch left. This is why I chose an even number. You're gonna go and you're gonna do your last post, whatever it is, front, back, whatever. And then you're gonna yarn over. In this area on the side where you just inserted your hook, to do your front post, you're gonna insert your hook again, but this way go all the way through to the back and just do a normal double crochet. This way it makes that front post or back post more pronounced. And you're gonna chain 2, flip your work, and then from here, what you're going to do is you're gonna alternate your front and back post again, but you're gonna match it up with the last row you did. So if the last row, for example, this one, it was a front post, but when you flip it, now it's back, you do a back post. Just like that. Or if you are doing, and then now you switch over to the front post, and you just continue that alternating pattern, just like this. Super easy, creates another type of ribbing. It's much stronger than this type of ribbing, than just doing the back loop only, and it definitely creates a nice band to stick around your head so that this does not stretch out too much when you're working on your piece or wearing it. So yeah, you're just gonna continue this pattern. Make sure your posts line up with what you're doing. If you messed up, which I have done before, where you accidentally did like 2 back posts or 2 front posts, just do 2 back posts, just match them up. That's all that matters. No one's gonna notice, trust me. So just continue that. I typically do about 4 to 5 rows of this to make my cuffing, but you are allowed to do whatever you want. If you want a thinner one and you wanna stop at 3 rows, go for it. No one's gonna stop you. You wanna stop it at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, just do whatever you want. If you want a really thick cuff, you are welcome to do it. That is the beauty of these projects, is that you can always modify it to be whatever you want. With amigurumi, it's a little harder to do that, but with a crochet hat like this, you can easily just modify it to fit your style and what you want for yourself. But this is super easy, and I will see you guys in a little bit when I finished my cuffing. We have finally finished out this ribbing. What we're going to do is we are going to sew this end together. So we're gonna do that really quick, and basically we're gonna finish off and leave a long tail. We're going to cut that. So we're going to finish this off. I have a really super long tail. Don't know why I made it that long, but honestly, you want a long tail, but you don't want it like too long. So I'm gonna cut this again so it's actually like usable. I am going to take my needle and my little threader, and I am going to thread this needle now. What we do, just fold it in half and then sew along this edge. So I will do that. Okay, so now that I have finished sewing that, the next thing that we're going to do is close the top of the hat. This is why I said you want a super long tail when you finish that off. So this part, I'm gonna let this be like the inside of the hat, but once I like pull it out and once we're done, you're not even gonna notice this like funky stitching right here. So what we're going to do to close off the top of the hat, this is just what I do. I kind of just weave in and out randomly throughout the edge, and we just do this all the way around, and then once we get to the end, we will pull it tight and close it.
So yeah, we're just gonna weave it in and out all the way around and then pull that closed nice and tight.
Now that we have gotten to the end, what I'm gonna do is I am just going to pull this closed, and then I'm going to sew a little bit back and forth. So like for example right here, again, this part is the inside of the hat.
So as you can see, I'm just sewing back and forth just across, just to make sure that there is no actual hole and that we are closing this up as best we can.
So just kind of go through as much as you can. This keeps it from opening back up. Sorry, this is really hard to do while filming. That's pretty secured. You could do as much as you want or as little as you want. I'm choosing to do a little bit more just because I'm gonna sell this in my Etsy shop. So I want it to be super secured for whoever is going to get this. And then you can also tug on it and make sure that it's actually closed. Mine is. In this case, I have that original tail left over. I'm just gonna tie it really quick. Eventually, I'm gonna put some fabric glue in here just to make sure that the knots are extra secured, because with the green, it's kind of hard to weave those in, but we'll just tie that off. And then for now, we are just going to flip the hat inside out so you guys can see what the hat looks like. So that is just the basic orange hat for now. And just a note, you can take the needle off of this, but you are going to leave this tail for now. You'll need that later. So just leave it and we will get started on the stem next. So I kept things super easy with this little stem thing that we're going to do. We're going to do the little curly Q first. So just do your slip knot like normal. You're using the same sized hook. I just chose a green color for the stem. You guys, whatever works for you. You're gonna chain about 22-ish. Maybe like 20, actually no, we're gonna do 24. But it doesn't really matter. Literally just choose whatever length you want. So now that I have my chain 24, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start working in, I think it's like the 4th chain from the hook. What I'm going to do is so normally when you're looking at your chain, you see it like this, where you have the 2 loops. If you flip it over, you see like this 1 loop right here that I'm touching with my thumb. That's where you're gonna insert your hook instead. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna yarn over. So 1, 2, 3, and this loop right here in the back, that singular one, we're gonna go through that. We are gonna do 3 double crochets in this loop. And then what you're going to do is continue that all the way down this chain. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna do 3 double crochets in each of these little back loopy thingies on the back of your chains. So just do 3 of those and just do this all the way down. So this is what mine looks like at the end of finishing all of that at the end of this row. It starts to curl a little bit and it's really, really cute. You can make this however long you want. Like I said, I just kind of start with about 24 and then I kind of hold it up to the hat to see if that's like the length I want, which actually I do really like this length for this hat. So I'm actually gonna make another little curly Q. So what I'm gonna do, actually, to kind of save myself some time, I'm gonna insert my hook back where I did that last 3 double crochets, and I'm just gonna do a slip stitch to close that off. And to save myself time, I don't want to do a lot of sewing in of ends or weaving in things, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just start chaining right away onto the second little stem. So I'm going to do about half, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm gonna do about 13, 14. We'll do 14 because we're gonna start on the fourth one. And then you'll end up with 2 little curly cues that are connected. If you'd like, you are more than welcome to do 2 separate ones and leave a long tail for sewing. I'm just trying to avoid the amount of sewing and weaving in of ends that we have and the amount of strings that we have. So that's why I'm doing this method. But you are welcome to do whatever you'd like. So 1, 2, 3, 4, flip it over, work in the back. We're gonna do double crochets and we're just gonna do a second little curly cue right here and just continue with that. So at the end of this little curly buddy, you have an option. You can just do your normal slip stitch back into that first stitch and, you know, leave a long tail, cut it off, blah, blah, blah. Or you could add more curly cues if you feel like you want more on your hat. I typically stick with 2, so I'm gonna leave it there. But you are more than welcome to continue the pattern and keep chaining and doing whatever. I'm gonna leave a longer tail for sewing. We're gonna cut that off and we will continue with the stem in just a minute. But we're gonna end up using the same color. And yeah, I have 1 long and 1 short. Look how cute that is. These strings will eventually get woven in. So far, this is what our hat's looking like. And you are more than welcome also just to do a regular beanie. You don't have to do these curly cues, that's up to you. But let's get started with the stem. Okay, so now that we have finished our little curly cues, we are going to make a magic circle or a magic ring with the same green color, and we're gonna make the stem. So this is how I make mine. I like to wrap it around, put it between these fingers, wrap, go here, pull that under, twist, and then basically pull that through. That gets it started on my little thing. And I usually like to tug to see which side is which. So this is connected to this, so that means we're gonna work this way so that we're crocheting over it. So I'm gonna crochet about 5 or 6 single crochets into this magic circle, magic ring. I think I'm gonna do 6 this time. I did 5 on my TikTok tutorial and it was not big enough. So we need more. But you can make your stem as big or as small as you'd like. That's completely up to you. Once I do that, I pull it closed. I don't go super tight with mine. I just do it tight enough that it actually closes without being like super tight. So what we're gonna do, I like to work in a continuous circle. That's up to you guys. I'm gonna continue doing that. So we need the stem to be a little bit bigger. So what we're gonna do is just do another round of single crochets. Okay, and as you guys see, we have a little bit of a gap. We're gonna pull that closed a little bit tighter so that we get that closed off. I like to do a couple knots right here. That's what I'm going to do. 1.
So if you guys can tell at this point in the video, I got very annoyed with myself. So we're just gonna do a voiceover instead because for some reason, me having a cold, I was just breathing very heavily into the mic and it sounds really, really bad. But basically I was just saying that I'm just gonna keep working in this continuous round. The string that we have from when we started that we crocheted over, I'm just gonna stuff that into the stem and just kind of use that there. I'm not doing any stuffing into my stem. You are welcome to do some in yours if you'd like to, but it's definitely not necessary. And I'm just gonna keep doing this and crocheting around until I reach my desired length. I don't even know how many rows this was. I just kind of eyeballed it, and it's really gonna depend on your hat and how big it is and who it's for to determine whether or not you want to increase or make it fatter or make it longer. It's really completely up to you and totally customizable.
So here is my stem that I have made. This is what mine looks like. You guys, again, can make yours as thick as you'd like. I think in relation to the hat, that's about a good size. So what I'm gonna do is kind of work on like the base of this stem. So what I'm gonna do is actually do an increase in each stitch all the way around.
So let me tell you something, I really need to stop breathing into my mic the way I did. It was extremely annoying and very difficult to edit out, so we're doing another voiceover, yay! yay! Basically, all I was just saying is that we are going to increase now and make the base of the stem. You don't have to do this. I just like how this looks. So I'm just doing some increasing. I think it was like every other stitch I was increasing. It's completely up to you. Again, you just kind of play with it. I just eyeball it. It really is going to depend on your hat and what size it is, who it's for, what it's going to look like. You can kind of play with it. I chose to make more of a base. This way I could sew it on a little bit better, but that's completely up to you. And that's really all I was talking about here, besides heavily breathing into the mic and being as obnoxious as possible. So now editing Shannon is like, what the F was I doing?
So now I am working on the every other increase in this row. Again, I'm working kind of fast, so like my stitches are not super perfect. I'm not being super exact here, and it doesn't have to be perfect because it's a pumpkin and pumpkins are not perfect either. So I'm just kind of crocheting away, doing another round or two. It kind of depends on your hat, the size, and how you want this to look. But honestly, this portion right here that we're working on is not super important. It's really just to kind of add more green to the hat. And then I think this looks about good enough. It's not the most perfect thing in the world. But what I'm going to do is do a slip stitch into the next stitch when I am done with this round, and I'm going to leave a long tail for sewing. We're going to cut that off and then finish off this portion. And then I'm going to grab my little curly Q, and I'm going to sew this onto my stem and have the ends come through the bottom. This way we can then attach it to the hat. So I'm gonna sew these curlies to this corner right here. You can kind of choose where you want it, but I'm gonna go do that right now. So now that I have this attached to the stem, I am basically just going to sew everything to the top of the hat, and I'm gonna go all the way around on the edges as well, and then we're gonna sew in our ends on the inside of the hat. So I am going to do that right now, but let's start sewing.
So honestly, this clip really isn't super interesting, but as you can see, I am sewing the green part of the base of the stem to the hat, and I'm just kind of sewing it on the surface of the orange hat. You could do whatever method you like for this. This is just what I like and what really held down for me. I tried my best to center it, but you know, like I said earlier, pumpkins aren't perfect, so it doesn't need to be perfect. And we're just gonna sew this, and then once we go to hide our ends and kind of weave everything in, I'm basically just gonna poke the needle through the hat into the inside portion of the hat, where we're basically just going to tie a bunch of knots later. And yeah, that's pretty much, I think, it for instructions, but please enjoy this little fast forwarding of me sewing very, very slowly. Like in reality, this was so slow, guys.
Okay, so now that we have like 400 million strings on the inside, I'm gonna weave my way back over here with my green string that I was working on. And basically I am just gonna start tying a million knots, because that is how I do things with my hats. Hang on, I'm gonna cut some of these a little bit shorter because mine are extremely long with these tails and we don't need them. Because at this point we're pretty much done. We are just gonna be tying a bunch of knots. I like to tie a bunch of knots, and then I put a little fabric glue on top of the knots and let them dry with the hats upside down like this. This way I know that they're dried and that they're secured, because then I can cut the knots, because the green is really hard to weave into this piece, because normally you would weave in your ends, but again, it's really hard to do that here, especially with the green and the orange contrast. So on the inside of the hat, I just do this because no one's actually going to see this portion of the hat. So why does it matter? It's my opinion. Everyone's a little different about it. This is what I choose to do for my hats. You guys can choose to weave them in if you prefer that instead. But what I will do is I will take some fabric glue. We're gonna just put dabs on that, leave it to dry, and then we will cut the strings later, because then I know it's secured. But this is our pumpkin hat, and I will show you guys that in a sec.
So y'all get my face right now, and this is our pumpkin hat. So this is what it looks like. This is for an adult. It's a little bit bigger than my head, but putting it on, this is what it looks like on. Nothing super crazy. It is a little big for my head, but I mean, for generally most adults, it'll fit.
at least with the sizing that I gave you guys, with the right hook, the right tension and everything. But it's such a cute little hat, and you know what, I purposely wanted to make this one for some kids, but I figured, you know what, adults should be able to have hats too. I also made this one as part of a TikTok tutorial. As you can see, the stem's a little bit smaller, but honestly, it still fits the same. This one still has some ends that need to get woven in, but putting it on my head, it's more of a muted orange, but it's still a really cute basic beanie, and I like mine a little slouchier, so that's kind of the look here. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you guys did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on my YouTube channel, and let me know in the comments what other videos you guys want to see. Do you guys want to see more craft videos? Do you guys want to see more Stardew Valley farm tours and things like that? And you know, if there's anything in particular, if you guys have a request for something for me to make, let me know, and I will probably try to come up with a pattern and share it with you guys here on YouTube and on my TikTok, because I do double film for both of these so that you guys have the tutorials everywhere. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.